welcome to the Daily HiFi Podcast. We do this every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 Eastern. My name is Chana. With me today, we've got Mr. Joe and Tell and Mr. Aaron from a nondescript location.
Right.
What's going on, fellas? What's going on?
What's up? Nothing. Just trying to get in the groove of this. You know what I mean? Different time, so trying to get set up.
Yeah.
What's up, Angela and Michael Squires and Wendell? How's it going? Yeah. What's up? What's new with you?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, there's all sorts of stuff happening, man. Oh,
anything related to audio first?
Dolby Atmos? Is that audio related?
Yeah, it is.
Got some new stems, and I was just diving into them, like all the way up until I jumped into the backstage. I was just like, "Oh crap, it's time to do the show!" And man, I don't know what it is with this one pack. It's a Dua Lipa song, but they gave like 30 stems. So there's a lot of. He doesn't like Dua Lipa, apparently.
No.
But yeah. What's up, Billy P?
Yeah.
The crow has landed. All right.
Ah. Sounds like a bird, right?
Yeah.
Oh, go.
Yeah, that sounds like a bird.
Dolby 5.1. All right. So actually, I just saw this today.
What's that?
Let me bring this up here. And I just showed you guys in our group chat for our after show. But this is interesting. So WiiM is whoa.
We might have to mute Aaron. I don't know what's happening.
No. It's good.
Is that you?
It's good. So what you call it? WiiM announced that I guess they're beta testing a way to use your WiiM amp. It has to be the WiiM amp Pro or the Ultra, and if you connect that to your TV, those two are they can accept Dolby Surround, Dolby Digital Audio, and so you can actually use other WiiM products and connect those to your surround. So I think that's kind of interesting. You know, I think it's moving in the right direction. So I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just kind of wirelessly, not really wirelessly, but giving the signal to the rear channels, surround channels. I don't know what they're gonna do about the center though. But the cool thing about the WiiM products, the thing I like the most is that you do have parametric EQ 10 bands per channel. So that means that, you know, I guess if you have left, right, and your surrounds, all of them can be equalized.
It's always a good thing.
You know, I think it's a step in the right direction. I would love to see a WiiM product that's a straight up Atmos, you know, connect a bunch of speakers to it. That would be great. So anyway, that's kind of cool. That's kind of new. What do you guys think about that?
What do you guys think in the chat? Michael Squire said he downloaded the new mix earlier. We'll check it out tonight. That is a new Atmos mix I dropped to not the Patreons. The patrons had it last month. What is it called? The email list. Email list, guys, got that. So yeah, what do you guys think about the WiiM amp? I think it's kind of cool.
How about
trying to do 5.1? Not wirelessly though.
No, I don't. It says I haven't read this whole thing. It just came out. Like I just got the email notification right before we got on. So I'm not even sure how they're going to do a center because most of their stuff is just 2-channel.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess we'll figure all that out. See how it all works. I'll sign up for the beta because I do have the WiiM Amp Pro and the Ultra, so I'll make sure to check that out. What it says here is that you don't need the Pro or the Ultra for the surround one, right? You just need it for the main one that connects to the HDMI.
Okay.
Yeah. What else? If you guys are hearing some buzzing sound, what I think is happening is Aaron is driving and he has a glass.
Like wirelessly
sunroof.
send a signal.
Yeah. Why? Man, it sounds like I'm like talking to an alien or something. You know what I mean? Like I'm communicating and then there's latency.
Wow, wow, wow.
And then it comes back and then
No, it's okay. This is Aaron's brand new Macintosh setup.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's his new Mac. No, what it's the rain hitting his it's the rain hitting the top, I think, right?
It's not raining over there, is it?
Aaron?
Being here.
See what I told you?
Hello?
Yeah, we hear you.
You don't.
We kind of do sometimes,
I'm in a
not
bad
really.
area
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
we'll see.
right now.
It's this is very difficult. It's difficult to do. You're cutting in and out, Aaron, so it's kind of hard to hear you, but it's all good.
Just
yeah.
I think it has to do with the clipple.
He says yes, it's raining here. But at least right now you can make fun of Aaron like you usually do, and he can hear you, and
And everything will be right in the world.
Yeah. Any comments here regarding this?
Regarding
okay. Maybe they're not interested in the WiiM amp and being able to do Dolby Atmos, or not Dolby 5.1, I should say.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I want to see them move in that direction where they're doing Atmos stuff. They make nice equipment. It's affordable. I've actually just gotten done doing this testing because I have the WiiM amp Pro, which has that post filter feedback that's supposed to fix some of the load dependency on the original WiiM amp. I guess anything that's the original TPA, whatever, 2032, whatever the number is. What the hell is the number? I forgot. Too many numbers in my mind. But yeah, so I have this JL Max, and so I'm using that. Kind of cool. I don't usually do electrical testing, but when I talked to Aaron on the phone, he's like, "Yeah, man, what you could do is you could do this, and then you could show this and that." And I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about. He was just telling me all kinds of technical stuff. But I tried. Yeah, that's what I was doing right before I hopped on here. Also, let's see. Yeah, I got the JL Audio Max, and then those are the top one. Wait, which one's the WiiM Amp Pro? Pro is on the bottom, Original's on the top, and yeah, just testing it out, trying out like random speakers on it. I have some. I have the Arendelle on there. I have this weird Sound Artist LS358 clone. This is the old one. It just shows you like I have to zoom in a lot. You can see the scale on the left. It's like 36.5 dB, 37. Like it's really zoomed in, and you can see how the depending on the speaker, it'll change the response. Right, like the amplifier is not a flat response, depending on what speaker you place on there. I don't know how much of a big deal that is. Maybe in the higher frequencies, because if I zoom out, it looks more like that. Like this is the way I'd normally look at things. So it affects only really like the higher frequencies, maybe about above 5K. There's a little something around like 120. I don't know why. Yeah, there's a few things here and there, but not a huge deal. But I'm comparing it with a Pro version that's supposed to resolve that, and I think it kind of does. I think the question more for me is it worth that? Change, is it worth the change? Because you do lose AirPlay too. The new version doesn't have that.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's huge, right? A lot of people want that.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. So anyway, that's what I'm up to, testing that sort of thing. And then later on, I have to do something where I'm gonna have to do some kind of A/B testing to see if I can actually hear that difference. You know, at the end of the day, like, does it matter? Like, can I hear it? I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, just doing that, messing with car audio stuff. I didn't know Aaron was like he was in the game. He's low key. He doesn't try to brag about it, but I looked him up. I'm like, Aaron Hardison, car audio, and he won some stuff, man. Mecca, Ayaska.
Who Aska? You Aska?
Yeah. Aaron's just trying to be humble over there. But he won some stuff, so I've been
The rocket
asking
scientist
for a little
trying to be
advice here
humble.
and there, you know. I told you I'm going to be entering a local competition just for fun. I ran Magic Beans on the car.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm confident. It'll be fun. Yeah.
Take you
Next
back
time
a
you're
little
around,
bit.
I want you to hear the system. You haven't heard it with all this new stuff that I've done.
All the new stuff that you're doing. All right, cool. I'll have to make a trip down there when it's not raining.
Yeah.
Apparently it's supposed to rain like crazy the next 2 days.
Yeah, we'll get back to the car audio stuff hopefully when Aaron has his stuff settled. But what do you got there? What is that? Is that
Magic box?
I already saw what it was. Why are you trying to hide it? Trying to hide it.
This thing's tiny. This, ladies and gentlemen, this little box. We're gonna try and add some Dolby Vision to the Samsung TV.
You haven't even hooked it up.
No, I just got it. It's just
okay.
Right. It's been sitting here for a couple of days, but
what are you gonna feed that?
So here's my question to you. The main thing is, should I just feed it what's coming off of the AVR? And then that in between the AVR and the TV, right?
I like that idea because then anything that can spit out Dolby Vision.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to switch it out. I like that idea.
I mean, I could go from like Blu-ray player straight to TV just to take the AVR out of it just in case. But at the end of the day, people would want to have it AVR, this device, TV.
Right.
I think. Right. For simplicity's sake.
Mm-hmm.
So if it doesn't work, then I'll try going directly to TV and then see if there's something wrong or weird with the AVR, which I don't think there should be any problems with the AVR.
Yeah, just hook it up first. You'll find out.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I see Wendell saying, did you guys know the new update on the NVIDIA Shield supports Oro 3D? And yeah, I think that's really mainly for the Artist Connection app.
Yeah, the app.
Yeah. So what is that? It allows you to, I guess,
play Oro 3D lossy. Or is it lossless?
Lossless also.
Oro 3D is lossless.
Yeah. You can do. They have a lossy version, that CX one that you guys are checking out, but it does lossless, and you can do it via streaming. So that Artist Connection app, they've done a demo where they did a live stream in Oro 3D. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of cool. You know, theoretically, right? But I think who's over here? Reverend Slim he's always making fun of Oro, and he's right. I mean, there's not a lot of content, and actually, I think we have some Oro content on Artist Connection, but it's for like pink noise.
Yeah,
you know, so we can play pink noise to your center height and the
voice of God.
Voice of God, yeah. So we officially have Oro 3D content out there. We're probably the only ones.
Let's raise the roof.
Are we the only ones in the U.S. in the past year or what?
In the past 10 years, probably.
Last 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. As long as things get, you know, they're making improvements and they have new stuff available. Cool, right? It's just a time thing. We gotta wait and see. All these things are baby steps, right?
Yeah, I don't care about Oro native Oro stuff. Sorry, Oro 3D. I don't care. I just want to use the up mixer on everything that doesn't have good, height utilization. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Everything else I don't care so much about.
Yeah, I'm not the greatest. I was on a I'll be on an episode of acoustics.com's YouTube channel.
Oh yeah? Talking about what?
Yeah. What Brian and I saw at CES and at NAMM. So Brian was at both events.
Okay.
Like I was. So we're talking about Dolby Atmos, talking about stuff in cars, TVs, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that'll be out at some point. I don't know. But we shot it yesterday, so like I said, lots of stuff happening. Somebody reached out to me to help them review a product in secret. Ooh. What does that mean? So essentially there's an audio product that is I guess they're developing right now, and they want somebody with a golden ear. Look, literally golden ears. Golden brown. Anyway, yeah, so I am going to write a critical review of this thing, not for publish, but for them.
Oh,
so
okay.
they can make adjustments. And
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, congrats. That's a new thing.
It's a new thing. Yeah, it is.
And they don't even just trust ears, they trust your ears. All right.
I measure with them. I measure with them.
They trust your ears, bro. That's cool.
Yeah, they asked me what equipment I have. Somebody actually asked about it too. Billy P. I keep forgetting to ask you, how do you like that Hi-Fi Rose RA180? Well, I've been using it with the RBH speakers here, 400 watts per channel. A lot of juice. So I'll be using that for the that other 2-channel product that I'll be helping to, I guess, troubleshoot. And yeah, I like the amp. I've got it hooked up in an interesting way. I have the Hi-Fi Rose streamer, so it's going from the streamer balanced XLR down to the amp, and that's going to the RBHs. And the one thing is, I think I have the remote control has one of those watch batteries in there, so I gotta order some more of those. So I just kind of used a slider on the Hi-Fi Rose streamer. So I'm not actually using the I could just kind of set a volume for like 1/3 of the volume on the amp. And
yeah,
I have been using. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna go back to your thing about how they're asking you for your opinion. I'm a little bit jealous, bro. They didn't ask me. How come they didn't ask me? What's wrong with my ears?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
What's wrong with my ear? All I know, I remember this one time. I think we were trying to figure out what a test tone, like some sound that came up, right, randomly, and we we're trying to figure out what frequency it was, and all of us were guessing. And I remember, I got it right.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I don't remember that at all.
Oh yeah, I have to pull that up. Tim, can you pull that up? Thanks. Yeah,
never happened.
That's all I know. I was like, that's like 1 kilohertz.
Industry plant.
An industry plant.
Hey, since Aaron's back and I can hear him nice and clearly, I was just gonna say that I think Macintosh gear is kind of whack.
Yeah, I see people saying that, and I'm just like, I 100% agree with them.
Like
I don't know
blue,
why anybody would ever.
blue lights.
It's so stupid. Yeah,
what do they call it?
Dude,
Blue or indigo, or what is that color? What is that color supposed to be? Blue?
I think it's called dumb.
Yeah, yuck.
It's what is it? That jewelry store? Isn't it like Tiffany blue or Tiffany green or something?
Oh, it's probably like Jacob the jeweler.
Jacob the jeweler.
Jacob the jeweler. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
It's probably like named after Paul Wall's business partner with the grills. You know, can't remember that guy's name, but yeah, it's probably that guy.
I would. To me, this is where it's at right here. You guys see this?
Oh, is that the new
Oh.
teak thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You say
saw that email
teak or
come out.
teak?
I
don't
say
know.
teak because I heard somebody else say like that in front of those people at
I don't
Expo
know.
last year. So
Okay. I don't know how to say it,
I
but
don't know.
that's an old school company, right? Like,
Oh
They've been
yeah,
around.
they've been around. They've been
Yeah.
around the block a few times.
this looks sexy to me. I like, actually, all joking aside, I do like this kind of like yellowish color a little bit better.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
You know what I mean?
Everybody's
Look at that.
everybody's entitled to their own wrong opinion.
Look at that.
You
looks
said
good.
wrong opinion. This
I'm
guy.
liking that. So they're it's this AP507 Hypex Encore, and what are the specs on this? Do they show?
Oh, that's cool.
No.
You need to Google, and what it reminds me of is the Denon used to have in the Japanese market. They used to have meters for car audio. So if you Google Denon car audio meters, you'll see what I'm talking about. They look very similar to that.
Really? I'll check it out. Denon meters. But real quick, so this is 170 watts at 4 ohm, 95 watts per channel, 8 ohm. Oh, do you guys know what this BTL is? I've seen that before. Like
Bridge
BTL?
tied load. I don't. Yeah, I don't know exactly
It's
what
like
it is.
bridge,
though.
right? So
Yeah,
look
it has
like
something to do with like the internal wiring of the amplifier.
Okay.
But I don't really recall.
So bridged, that looks like 350 watts at 8 ohms. Doesn't show for 4. Maybe you can't do 4. Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, looks interesting. Looks cool.
I found that thing that
Yeah, let's see.
a Denon thing. Look at this.
That's for car audio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the heck? I would put that
Yeah.
on the car. That looks cool. Let
Yeah.
me see.
They're pretty cool.
You could probably put this in your house too. You just gotta get a converter.
Yeah.
Yep.
$530 for that thing?
Dude,
I mean, they don't make it
I
anymore,
don't
bro.
know. They're expensive.
That
They
thing looks
weren't
like
even
the
making them.
Here, a gold one, 469.
That thing
or
looks like the
silver.
Fossey ones.
Yeah, right.
Or like
Kinda
80
do.
bucks.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I just thought that was cool.
Denon head units were $1,200.
Wow. But so yeah, I saw some Macintosh gear. Have you hooked that stuff up? Have you listened to it?
Oh yeah, dude, it's all playing. Oh man, it sounds like a stereo.
Does it sound special though?
I don't know, man. It's a side test. Like I could just tell you that I love it. Sounds freaking awesome.
It's not
dude.
about
600
how it
watts on tap.
sounds, Joe.
Okay, explain to me like this. Does it make you feel special though?
Makes them feel horny.
Yes, makes me feel special to me.
Okay.
Well, maybe not quite that far.
Does it make you feel like a baller?
That's not
Jeremy
really
asked,
how I feel. I just
Jeremy asked,
I just
special
wanted that
as
stuff
in
for
unique?
a long time, man. So I feel excited.
You feel
Yeah.
excited? Or does it make you feel like a baller though?
he just wanted it for a long time, so he's just like,
Not really.
I gotta have it.
Wow.
Now that I have it,
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Marv says, does it make you feel like an audiophile?
a little bit. Yeah.
Makes you
You know
feel.
what that means?
I gotta get some.
Does it make you feel a little bit dirty?
No, because it's
No.
all clean power.
Oh, clean power. So it kind of offsets the. Yeah, I hear you. Okay.
Yeah.
No, man, that's cool though. You should get the stuff that you want, even if it's stupid material stuff, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes
Every
more
once in a while,
symbolism and like just like a achievement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes they're celebrating, hey, I made it. I'm able to buy this stuff that I've always wanted.
The one thing I can say about Macintosh is that thing is going to be around forever. I'll be able to pass it to my grandchildren. So that's what Billy P says.
Yeah. That's
And
kind of
your
what
grandchildren will be able to sell it
for $100 million.
Man,
no, I get it.
Keep the box and all that.
I'm joking around a lot, but I get it.
Oh no, I hear you, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and I had a phone call with my friends over at Kimber Cable yesterday. They're gonna send me some cables, and I was like, hey, you know, my buddy, this guy from Aaron's Audio Corner, just got a bunch of Macintosh gear. He reviews speakers. So hopefully, you know, I set you up, player. You know, I know you're rocking lamp cords over there because
pretty much
you couldn't afford anything other than those Macintoshes.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll be able to set you up, and yeah, I can't wait. I think my cables arrive like tomorrow or Friday. So
oh dang. Yeah, that's fast. Yeah, I spoke with her today. And
oh, cool.
Yeah, I just told her, like, you know, like, I'm not a. She actually used the word snake oil, or the term snake oil, and I said, yeah, I'm not like a snake oil person. You know, like, I'm not going to tell people this thing sounds fantastic unless I can prove somehow. Otherwise, it's about build quality to me. You know, like, I used to build my own cables because there's a lot of cables, especially for car audio, that just weren't up to the task of making short runs, and you had to bend them, and bend them too sharp. Eventually, the RCA barrel would kind of work its way loose and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I gave her some ideas for some stuff they can look at in that regard. And so I think they're going to send me a couple things out. And I said something about maybe sending a couple little goodies for my Patreon members. And she said she thinks she would probably do that. So I thought that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, she asked if I would be interested in wearing a t-shirt. And I said, yeah, I'm not going to wear like a brand t-shirt. Like that's, you know, like that's kind of like playing favorites. I said, but if you want to send it to me, you know, I'll give it away to one of my Patreon members. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, what is this company now?
Kimber Cable.
Kimber. Oh, you're not down to wear Kimber, but JL Audio and Morel is okay, huh?
I don't. Well, the Morel one is an old T-shirt, and I'm slacking when I wore that one in the video. I wear it around town. That's a little bit different.
No, I've seen it on Daily HiFi. You know why I'm joking? Because I told you guys that I got a Trinov sweater.
Yeah,
yeah. I don't have a Trinov. I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
But if it's cold, I'll wear it.
Yeah,
and if I pop into the show and I'm wearing it, then you know that's on them.
You're shilling.
I'm shilling like a villain.
If you want the best way to promote, send me a hat, send me a shirt.
I think as long as it's stylish, right? It can't just be like some fucking garbage ass thing. Like,
yeah, bro.
You know, I think Aaron would totally rock a Macintosh shirt on the show if he hasn't already.
I had a Macintosh polo that a friend of mine who was a dealer up in New York sent me about like 15 years ago, and it was just too large, so I never wore it. And I sold it right around COVID because I was trying to get some money together to help me buy some stuff to start the channel with. I sold that thing for $600. Like,
get the hell out of here.
It was a Macintosh polo, and I sold it for $600 plus, you know, whatever shipping it was, like $5.99 plus shipping. Yes.
What? Get out.
And around the same time, I kind of regret this, but not a lot. I also sold my Rage Against the Machine t-shirt collection, and I made like $1,200 off of about 4 or 5 shirts, and one of them sold for $400.
Dang, I didn't know.
Yeah, dude, that vintage t-shirt game is legit.
Yeah, so if you guys want the Trinov sweater, you know what I mean? You just have to hold on for a while until they can't get a hold of them. No, I don't think it'll happen.
That's exactly right.
Nah, that's cool.
Yeah,
but yeah, I have a Bowers and Wilkins hat, right? That I got when I was over there. I don't even really like their stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I get all kinds of swags. I got shirts. I got a Neumann hat. Like, I don't even wear hats.
Yeah. What's up? What's up, FOMO? I see you.
Oh, oops.
Yeah.
Almost got a
Testing a
Sony hat.
monitor. He's testing a monitor. What monitor are you testing, FOMO?
Yeah. Hey, FOMO, do you happen to have a Trinov sweater?
Oh, he does.
Yeah,
he has
you
a
may have a
Trinov.
Trinov. You may have a Trinov, but you don't have a Trinov sweater. I got you. 800.
Ooh, yeah, good deal. That's the pro discount.
It's your size. Yeah. Yeah, man. What else we got going on? I don't have any other topics. I'm just seeing what you guys are saying here. What do we got? Okay, we answered that one already. We answered this. Here's a question. That's for you, Chana.
Oh. Have you tested Magnetar Blu-ray players? Yes, I have the Magnetar UD, or I had the Magnetar UDP 800. Did it play BDMV folders? I know it played ISO from the network, from a network or attached hard drive. So let's see here. I don't know exactly where. Network playback of MKV, M2TS, ISO files, and BDMV folders. It's in my video. It's in my video. 2 minutes and 40 seconds, 50 seconds. Somewhere like there. Here, let me get this. I saw that question. I was already getting this video queued up.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm a professional.
Mm-hmm.
I just got distracted by Aaron's.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it makes a weird like sound once in a while, like just there.
Yeah, it just did it.
So if you want to just mute, it doesn't do it while you're talking for some reason. There you go. Yeah.
All right, let's see if did that actually go through, or do I? No, it didn't go through. Here's my video on the UDP 800. I got to put it in via Daily HiFi. There we go. I guess it doesn't allow links.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a conversation happening in the chat.
Fantastic. That's what we
All
like
right.
to see. We like to see more engagement. Yeah. Let's see here. What else?
What else
in the news? I have this Onkyo TXRZ30 AV receiver. TXRZ30, which is getting rave reviews from a lot of YouTube people, apparently. But the one thing that I don't really understand is Onkyo TXRZ50 is that it is lower than the RZ50, but costs more than the RZ50. Why is that?
I think they're doing like the like Marantz. You know what I mean?
Onkyo RZ. No, that's not. No, because the flagship is the 70. Oh, right. So
they can't do it.
Here, here's the 50. Now, if we go and type this 30, so this is $9.99, and the 30 is it's not on Crutchfield. Onkyo TXRZ30. Come on. Here, let's go to audio advice. Nope, RZ50. Where the hell is the RZ30? There it is. I think it's like $1,200. Yeah, $1,200. So why would you go 9-channel for $1,200 or 9-channel out of the box, possible 11-channel for $200 less?
There's the answer from Michael. Michael Squires has the answer for you.
What is it?
Right there.
Independent subwoofer outputs. Very good. Okay.
So that'll be useful if you have a Dirac live bass control.
Okay. So
you'll actually be able to make use of that.
So then what does this mean? Does this mean, here we go. Dirac live full bandwidth. I guess that's what it comes with. I guess that the what we really need to know is what's going to happen to the 50. Are they going to make a more expensive one as the 50? I don't know. Kind of weird. Kind of weird.
I don't know. Have you heard of that little? It's like, I guess it's a bug in the RZ50 where when you use Dirac Live bass control at the, I don't know the details, but it crosses over some of your speakers incorrectly. I think it's like you can set it to 80 and then it'll try to cross it over at 120 or something like that. I don't know, some weird bug that they have that I've been seeing that people are having. If you have a RZ50 with Dirac Live bass control and you've experienced that, put it in the chat. Let us know if you're noticing anything like that. Oh, Michael Squires just said right there.
Once again,
he has one. Where does it? Yeah. He says, though the Dirac Live bass control is screwed up on the RZ 30, 50, 70, all for the time being. So I would assume that that's probably on Onkyo's end. So Onkyo, you guys got to fix that.
I guess I'm
glad
I didn't make my video yet.
Yeah, they got to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
They need to fix that. I mean, that's not cool.
Yeah.
I have a email of somebody going back and forth with them. Saying, hey, this thing is screwed up. And it's kind of like, on the forums, people kind of know about it. And they were like, have you tried resetting? Like, dude, it has nothing to do with that.
Have you tried hard booting the device?
Come on, man.
Weren't you in tech support, Joe? Isn't that the first thing you should ask, buddy?
No.
Oh, you were in IT. You weren't in tech support.
No, that's
my family. Thank you for calling Onkyo Tech Support. How can I help you?
Yeah, the restart is just to annoy you.
Dirac is whack. Christopher Commander said.
Oh, wow.
Just turn it off and turn it back on again. There you go. Dirac is poop. Or is the poop. Fantastic.
What is this? Heavy Beat says, hey Joe, I get to put a stereo in my kitchen at work, taking me back to your barbershop video back in the day. Oh man, that's an old video. Went to my barbershop, hooked them up with some ELAC speakers.
Well, really?
On-wall speaker mounts. Yeah, just get the ones that are on Amazon that have like the clamp on the bottom. Those work really well. And they're cheap. I think like 30-something bucks.
Oh, look at this. Dirac has even acknowledged the problem with Onkyo.
Is with Onkyo. Oh, that's messed up. Throwing them under the bus like that, huh?
Yeah.
They're like, not our fault. Not our fault.
Oh my gosh. We've got a newcomer.
What up?
They're from MIT.
Oh, yeah, that's right. MIT, son.
Macintosh integrated tester.
Yeah, he's shelling out MIT. Look at that.
I'm apparently shilling out Coca-Cola.
Yes, you are.
Joe, what are you shilling?
I am shilling nothing.
Black shirt. He's shilling Magic Beans.
Yes.
You should be wearing a Magic Beans audio shirt or hat.
I need to. I'm
kicking myself out.
Good to have you on.
Yeah.
And without that noise, man, that noise was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I was thinking like I should just bail out, but then I felt bad for bailing out. So
no, you're good.
I'm here now.
We wanted to hear your input, so we put up with it.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that.
Super chat from Chris Wyndham. Thank you for the super chat. He says it's been a while, or since I've been around. Is this the new time? I think this is a good time.
Yeah, I think so.
On Wednesday.
Been a while.
Yeah.
Till I gone myself.
Anyway, the reason we do these is so Tim can chop these up and give you guys a video throughout the week. So as long as we talk about something semi-interesting,
yeah,
we should be okay.
It'd be all right.
Yeah.
We don't have any topics. So you guys come up with topics in the chat. Anything you guys want to talk about, post them up. We'll star them and try to answer your questions and just kind of go off what you guys are saying. Because as far as what I have to talk about is just the stuff that I've been doing recently. You know what I mean? That's what's on my mind is the stuff that I'm working on. I'm looking at 4 subwoofer boxes here. For like drivers. Drivers. I'm doing car audio stuff. So that's what's on my mind. Yeah. How about you, Aaron? What are you up to? Any projects that you're working on?
I'm trying to get through or get to some reviews at some point,
Yep.
but I'm just kind of dragging.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah, that's about it for me.
You put out a video yesterday, a live stream.
Yeah. Yep. Maximum effort.
I was talking to him on the phone like just before that. He's like, I think I'm gonna go live. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the nice thing about going live is you can just do it. You know, like I don't even have to be prepared. I can just be like, I'm going to talk about stuff.
Well, you have so much data in that giant noggin of yours that like.
and the thing was about, I guess it seemed like you were responding to a video. You don't have to say which or what.
Yeah, but well, it wasn't one in particular. There's just been a few that I've seen lately in the past couple months. You
felt a little bit like semi-attacked or what?
Nah, I don't even feel attacked anymore. It's just kind of dumb, you know, like because there's enough people that do data that I don't even. Sometimes they'll talk about somebody else specifically, and I'm like, this don't even make sense. Like,
there's only like if they say something like, there's these people just because you have an expensive machine to measure speakers. I'm like, that's like 2 people.
Yeah, that's 2 people. Yeah, I don't know, man.
No, but you were basically saying what?
It was basically like if you don't know what you're talking about, just don't talk about it.
Stay in your lane is what you're saying.
Yeah, kind of stay in your lane. The gripe that I have is with people who I really do feel like they are purposely divisive, right? Like, you shouldn't look at reviews that have data. It's like, okay, or then like you shouldn't look at reviews that don't have data. It's like, okay, like look at whatever you want to look at. But if my thing is anybody can be a subjective reviewer, like anybody can, right? Okay. There's no qualification there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Listen, I'm just being for real. Like, you got a camera.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate. I'm trying to think of a way to like.
Well, because
you hear that? He's the devil.
Nobody is like saying I'm a golden ear and therefore you should trust me because I have all these certifications for listening, right? Like we don't have that. No. So you've got a camera and you like audio, you can just be a reviewer. Like that's how you can get started. With data, you know, you've got to care enough to get into that. Like you've got to do extra crap. And my thing is, I just get frustrated when people are like, oh, well, data doesn't matter, but they don't even like have an idea of how to even start collecting data for a speaker. So if you don't have an idea of what you're talking about, you just shouldn't talk about it. That's what I want.
It kind of reminds me, you know, I like boxing and MMA and stuff like that. And sometimes you'll hear somebody interview a boxer and they're like, I can easily do what you do, but you can't do what I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're criticizing something that they're doing. They're like, I can do what you're doing. I can just ask people questions, but you can't do what I do. So how can you comment on what I do?
Yeah.
I mean, let's say this. Okay. I have a position.
Makes you good is the difference. You know what I mean? Like I guess I should state that, you know, like just because you can pick up a camera and record yourself doesn't make you somebody that people want to watch either. Right. So you've got to at least be interesting, should have some ability to provide something useful.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Okay. So first of all, it's hard to be entertaining.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
100%. Who looks at their position as a reviewer as maybe somebody who maybe doesn't inform others on purchasing decisions, but is to entertain people and show them something cool, right? Something that they may not have seen before.
Right.
And maybe they truly believe that their experience with listening to different speakers over many years is more important than what the measurements provide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they found that maybe they do look at the measurements also, and they find that what they hear and what they like doesn't correlate with what they see in the measurements. And speakers that do measure well, maybe they do review those and say, I see they measure well, but I don't really like them.
That's fair.
And so maybe that's what some of these people are trying to communicate is just that they don't feel like there's a correlation. They see these measurements and they don't notice the correlation between their experience and the measurements.
I'd be okay with that if that were true.
No.
But I don't think that anybody's actually doing that. I don't think that the people who are so vehemently against measurements are actually taking the time to put in some effort to try to really understand, I like the speaker or I hate the speaker, but the measurements show this, right? I don't think they're doing that. And I think if they think that they are, they're not doing enough. So I think it's just a very disingenuous take when somebody says, and the other thing too is, Stereophile, provides on-axis measurements, and some of their measurements are misleading, especially when it comes to the bass, but that's just because of the technique they use. And they talk about in their reviews. So it's not saying anything that anybody who has actually read their reviews doesn't already know. But the problem is that people sometimes don't actually read into those details, and they see just an on-axis response and, oh, it looks nice and flat. Well, I didn't like the speaker. Well, you got to go beyond just on-axis. And that's the problem with those who say that flat measuring speakers sound bad. And then the secondary part is most of the time they're talking about flat in room. And we all know that flat in room response sounds like hot garbage.
Okay. Well, how about this though? How about we have been fed for a long time that flat on axis, flat direct sound, flat anechoic is something to strive for. I mean, that's for a long time that's been the case. It's only recently that you've started saying, hey, I care more about the in-room response. That's not everybody.
Right.
You talked about being a niche and a niche and a niche, right?
Right.
Well, that's even that position is not the popular opinion, even amongst people who are into measurements. So that's, I think that's something to consider. Maybe people are looking at that and saying, my experience doesn't correlate with this on-axis linearity. I think that's a fair thing to say.
Yeah, I would just ask what the room and the setup was like, and then there you go. I believe very strongly that you can pretty easily correlate the right kind of measurements with what you hear in the room. And there are different instances. If you aim a speaker one way or you toe it out a different way or bring it off the wall really far, put it really close to the wall. I think all of that stuff can be pretty easily found in the data. So,
well, I think you kind of touched on it also in the video. You said it's interpretation of the data sometimes, right? And sometimes it can be misinterpreted, or maybe too much weight is put on something like the direct sound. And it's my opinion. I've said it on various videos. I think it's more the directivity index smoothness. I think people use that a lot. I think they're using the smoothness to compare the off-axis sound to the direct sound, and they're making a quick judgment. Do these sound similar? If they do, then this is good. My experience is good. Why? Because they don't actually know what accurate is on some random track. They didn't mix it.
Yeah, right.
They're looking at pink noise. They don't know what is accurate or not.
Right.
So that's one instance where I think that they can make a direct comparison between the sound that the speaker is putting out. That's my opinion. I don't know. I think that still needs to be proven, right or wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you could probably you could do away with what the speaker should measure like, and you can just use the data as a starting point for like, hey, this is what I heard. Let me look at the data and see if I can try to understand it. And then, I heard this other speaker and it sounded different. Let me see, what in the data points to that. I think that's the best way. I think going into it from the other end of things, which is kind of what the hardcore objectivists do, is they'll look at the data and kind of just leave it like that. Like, oh, it doesn't measure this certain way. And then that's it. The problem, there's a couple problems with that. One problem that I have with making those kind of conclusions, I guess, is that, like, how many speakers have you actually heard that also you have data for? You know, like, if I had to guess, I'd say probably lucky if most people have heard more than 5 speakers in their own room that we have measurements readily available for. You know, for the average consumer, reviewers are different, right? Because we cycle through stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So that's where I've grown to be more cautious in what kind of weight we associate to the data itself. And I try to put more emphasis on using the data to help you understand what you've heard or what you might hear, or just in the simplest of terms, how things might compare. You know, if you put one speaker in this location and put another speaker in this exact location, you know, this one has more bass on its own, right? So it's going to have more bass in the room. Or this one is, you know, has a higher frequency boost. So over compared to this one, it's going to have a higher frequency boost. And you can even just use it for that and that alone. And that's better than nothing, right? It's better than relying on somebody else's or even your own oral memory, because that's garbage.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just the emphasis on what measurements people are looking at. So, like I'm saying, I think most people that are maybe even just new to measurements, right? They're just kind of getting into it, and they fell into that camp of, all right, I'm going to go to and see all the measurements. And the first thing they're probably going to look at is a direct on-axis response, and they're going to go and comment on, you know, people's videos like, nah, this actually doesn't measure well.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, in that one aspect.
Right.
But how about the other aspects?
Right.
Right. So I think focus does matter, like what we do focus on.
Yeah. I've got a good example. I've got a speaker here right now that on axis is just too bright, but the manual says to point them off at, like, it tells you this is how they're supposed to be set up. And when you do that, the treble is kind of flattens out. So that direct sound that you get is a more neutral sound. Now, the in-room response still has its own issues, right? Because the on-axis is rising and stuff like that.
It's almost like they know that, and they're like, hey, listen to it like this.
Yeah.
You know, like they can't fix it.
Sure.
So what's interesting is I have these RBHs in here, and I'm in my little rolly chair. And so I just messing around. Speakers are in the same spot, but I'm over here. I'm over here. I'm a little further up. I'm a little further back. So now they cross like in front of me or behind me. It's fun to like actually hear where like, oh wow, the soundstage opens up like when I'm like right here.
Yeah.
Right. Like you just like literally just lock in and there's like way more sound.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just experience. I think what it is when you start correlating the data with your listening experience. Once you have enough data and a lot of speakers to listen to, and just time spending, you know, you have to spend time doing this stuff. Like I'm looking at this Bluetooth speaker that I had from Monolith, right? It's like a boombox looking one.
Oh yeah.
And like I've measured it right in the room, but I've also taken it to the park, right? And I've also listened far at the park and where it's kind of like an anechoic environment. And so I've experienced how does it sound here versus in the room. I kind of understand what my room does to the sound, things like that. So it's just a lot of testing. And I think a lot of these subjective reviewers, maybe they have a lot of time testing. You know, they have a lot of experience testing, but not so much measuring, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't think I would want to take that aspect away from. Okay, how about this? In car audio, right? You'll do all your measurements, but what's the last step always?
You always got to listen.
And then, but you'll make adjustments though, too, right? It's not just
they need to be. Yeah, they need to be. Yeah, because measuring car audio that's a different ball game altogether, too.
But you'll go and listen, and you'll start messing with frequency response, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But that's technically less correct. If I were to look at it from like the standpoint of how these people are looking at speaker measurements, right? It's kind of making it further away from what looks technically correct on the RTA.
Yeah,
so
but
why is that correct?
You're also assuming that the measurements that that you're getting in the car are captured in the correct way. And I don't think that anybody's figured that out completely. There's just no way. I mean, the car audio environment, like you can't gate the response, so you really can't get an idea of first dominant sound. And there really is no first dominant sound. Everything is quote unquote early reflections, right?
Yeah.
So that's all out the window. There's just a lot. Like I really don't. This is why I don't believe in house curves for car audio, especially for car audio, because man, you move the headrest itself. Who knows what that thing's doing?
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of times you'll put the mic in and you'll clamp it in place via the headrest. Well, you take that headrest off and see what happens to 2 to 4K. Right. Like it's completely different. So car audio is just an entirely different animal. But
yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is like, so if you go in there and you're doing the listening part and you're adjusting, are you measuring, or is it just like what sounds correct, or both?
For car audio, it's both. And the same way with home audio, right? Like I don't think subjective reviews are useless. And I said that a few times last night. I really wanted to make that point. Like it's not my thing. I don't watch subjective only reviews because that's just not what I'm into. Like if I really want to know how a speaker sounds, I'll figure out a way to get it myself. And I've gotten to be pretty good at looking at the right kind of data and have an idea of, all right, this is a good idea of how it's going to sound. So I really don't need anybody else's opinion. I mean, honestly. So, but that to me doesn't take away the usefulness entirely of a subjective review. I think more than anything, I don't. So this is tricky, right? Because what everybody says is find a reviewer that has the same likes that you do, right? So you happen to do that one time, and now all of a sudden everything they like, like speakers are very different. Speakers might have a bump here or a dip here, you know what I'm saying? Like, so they may like that thing, and then you're like, oh, this is my reviewer. I found my golden-eared reviewer, and now this other thing that's going on, they also like. Well, what are the odds that you're going to like that too? So that's the aspect that I'm like, like it just doesn't make sense to me to follow somebody solely because a couple of reviews, they liked a speaker that you liked in totally different environments. And that there's so many rabbit holes to go down this one.
Yeah.
But,
well, I've talked to a pretty popular audio reviewer on the phone, and his take was that he doesn't think that he is a source for somebody making a purchasing decision.
Yeah, he's an entertainer.
He thinks that he's just there to entertain.
Yep.
And I guess I could see that. But I think the problem is that people do make purchasing decisions based on that.
They 100% do. Yeah.
So it's kind of a responsibility that,
I feel like that's a really naive take. Like I think it's naive, and it almost I can't believe that I know who you're talking about. I can't believe that somebody that's been around that long with that many viewers and subscribers would honestly think that he's not influencing people's purchase decisions.
Dude, like, do I have to bring it up? I mean, there was a big old lawsuit, and literally their defense was, well, they should know, if they're like a normal person, they should know that this is not the news and it's just entertainment. That was their defense. So, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about.
I don't want to hear that.
Yeah. But so it's one of those situations, Aaron. Like, well, like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. I think just to kind of, I would really like to put a bow on top of this because I don't want, like, my honest feeling is subjective reviewers are fine. I've got friends who do subjective only. I don't care. Like, I really don't care. What I care about is when certain types, and most of them, well, I mean, they by default, they are subjective only reviewers. They come out and say that measurements don't matter at all. And it's like, well, that's really like, that's a bad take. Like definitely measurements can be helpful, right? Like you may not care or have any interest in it, but to say that they're completely useless is a bad take. And I think what that really does is that's almost like gatekeeping your own audience. Like you don't want them to go look at anybody else's stuff. YouTube, man, this place is wide open. I don't care who any of my viewers watch, as long as it doesn't influence them in a way where they start thinking like that,
All right, more devil's advocate here. Can't measurements be misleading if interpreted improperly?
If they're all interpreted wrongly in the same way, then you're still comparing apples to apples, I guess.
Well, I'm saying
but,
if you're focused on the wrong ones, you're focused too much on something, right?
Yeah, no, that's
or something like that. You know, you're too focused on that, and like maybe you're not paying attention to other things that are more important.
Right. That's a
that
fair
could
point.
be misleading, I think.
Yeah. But would you say therefore you can't use any data?
I think
the stance you're going to take then?
No, I think really what I'm saying is that I appreciate people who put out all the data, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it gets tricky though is, all right, here's all the data, right? And I appreciate it because if you do a spinorama on a speaker, I can pick and choose the data that I want to look at.
Yeah.
Right. I can ignore some of the stuff that other people are going to focus in on so much. I'm like, I don't care about that so much. I care about this.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you providing all the data gives me an opportunity, right, to look at the things I think are important to me. I think where it gets a little tricky though is the people who usually provide the data also have an opinion.
Yeah.
And so they become somebody who people look to interpret the data. So how they interpret the data is how other people start interpreting the data as well.
Yeah.
Right. So if they focus on this thing, other people who are following, they're like, hey, this guy's the expert. I guess I should look at it this way also. And maybe that's not absolutely the right way to look at things, maybe for that person or in general. I think that's where I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong, right? Like I don't even disagree. I do understand where you're coming from. There's just so many layers to this that it's like, okay, which layer do you want to talk about first? Right? Like, do you want to talk about, oh, there's this, you called out this dip here, and are you only focused on this dip, or what about these other things that are going on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. I kind of just put it out there what I thought, what I think is most important from my experience. You know?
Would you prefer a channel that just says we don't do measurements here instead of measurements are bad?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Well, we don't do measurements here, goddamn it.
Yeah.
How about this?
I'm just kidding.
How would you feel about people doing what I do, which is, I can do the measurement, but Aaron has already done it. Here's his website, and here's the measurements. If you want to look at the full thing, go to his website. I'm not going to go and do them because they're probably going to be worse as far as accuracy, but it's going to look similar for the most part. And usually I do the measurements anyway for my own testing to make sure that the speaker's not totally different. But for the most part, like, why do I need to show that if you already have the measurement? You know, and they're the same.
Yeah, so that's another good question. And I guess it shows my favoritism towards you. I've never once even thought about you doing that. Like, I don't care that you do it. Yeah. But when you say, like, what about other people doing it? Then I'm like, yo, you're using my hard ass work.
That's
like the stuff that I bust my butt on, and you're using
my Kool-Aid.
No, that ain't cool.
What if they start posting, like, you know, they kind of crop out your logo a little bit?
Dude, I've had people do that already.
They're not even putting the affiliate links, right? Remember you said you don't like it when people put affiliate links and don't put the disclaimer. What if they just kind of show the graph and, like, you know, the Aaron's audio corner is kind of cropped out a little? When I do it, I try to make sure that the whole website is on there. You know what I mean? I put a link on the description to your review.
Right.
But how would you feel about that? Now they're using the data. It's your data.
If somebody I don't like, I got a real problem with it. and you know what? As the content creator, that is my prerogative. I get to make that call. Yeah, for sure.
But it's interesting to think, though, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting to me to think about because it's like, okay, now I am kind of trying to be objective, and they might say, like, hey, you know what? Here's the measurement for this speaker, and it's not what I hear, but here's the measurement if you guys are interested.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could also just say, like, here's the objective spinorama data. Make of it what you will, and then you just keep it rolling. And I'm like, as long as you give me proper credit, I probably don't really care so much. You know, like, let's take for example, nope, I'm not naming names, but let's pretend like somebody. let's take like no, because I mean I talked to the guy a couple times. He might call me. And I don't really have a problem with him, so I'm not trying to do any of that. But yeah, if somebody made a review on something that I reviewed and they said, Aaron has data and I'm going to show a glimpse of it. I've had people do that. Ron at New Record Day showed a glimpse of one of my, but he messaged me. He was like, "Hey man, do you mind if I do this?" And I was like, "No, man, that's fine." So like as long as you just give me a heads up or give me props, I'm fine with that. But I feel like if I feel like you're taking advantage of my work, then yeah, I'm hitting you with a copyright claim.
I'm kind of enjoying this devil's advocate because it's now that I think about it. So the measurements are free for any consumer to look at.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But if you're a reviewer,
you can't use it.
You can't
make money off of me.
To make money off of you.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like you making money off of my work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's illegal.
Yeah, I don't.
Shame.
Yeah,
I mean, really, I know what you have to do. You're putting this thing. You have to lift it up, put it on this expensive thing. You're the one who has to have these test tones going all day.
Yeah,
right. You have to do the work to analyze the data and to get it in a presentable format. So yeah, you know what that? Okay, so back to devil's advocate, right? What if I don't have a clipple? I don't have the tools to be able to do this stuff. So what's wrong with somebody saying, you know what? Okay, I'm just gonna do the objective thing then. That's all I can do.
You mean subjective thing?
Subjective. I can only do the subjective thing. So this guy had, he kind of has this market cornered.
Hey,
see that, really?
Hey, I like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good.
So what are you supposed to do? You're trying to do the YouTube thing. You want to review speakers. You want to. I mean, I had Floyd Toole tell me. So what do you actually have to add? If you're looking at Aaron's measurements, like what value do you add? And I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Right?
When you told me that, I started laughing.
I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, that's a great question.
Yeah.
What do I have to add?
You got plenty.
Nada. Your subjective experience in your room. That's just so like. Yeah.
Well, he tried to tell me, do you have like at least a turntable, like so I can do A/B testing where the speaker changes position? I'm like, no, man, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not.
Yeah. That's tough to do too. Yeah, but again, like I keep going back to it, but you're not like if you're a pure subjective reviewer, this person you're making up, they're also not saying data's terrible. You can't trust data. Objective reviewers don't even listen to music. Like you're not saying that. So I don't care. My only problem is when you step over and start saying things that it's just like it doesn't even make sense, right? Like, oh, objective reviewers, they just don't enjoy the music. You got to listen with your ears. It's like, all right, like I don't even like how. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the stuff where I'm like, dude,
I guess I'm trying to connect the two, right? It seems like I'm just trying to make it so it's trying to bring the two together, right? Trying to understand both sides. And I would say if somebody did enjoy the speaker, right? I'm a reviewer. I really enjoyed this PreSonus Eris 3.5, right?
Yeah,
Aaron hates it. The measurements
lit up in the comments for it. Yeah.
Right? The measurements say they suck. And
they suck.
Oh, they suck.
They're terrible.
PreSonus one?
Who cares what the measurements say? They sound garbage.
Dude, right? Joe saw them at NAMM. He's like, dude, you want to go tell those people they got the worst sounding speaker? I fixed the worst sounding speakers. You want to show them this video? I was like, oh man.
I'm like, should we go over there and talk to them and tell them?
Oh, they know who you are. They probably saw you coming.
But so like that speaker is a speaker that was on Wirecutter's like top thing, right? And a lot of people on Amazon seem to like it, right? A lot, like thousands of people who have bought this thing are like, I really like this speaker. So if let's say if I'm a reviewer and I'm like, I actually kind of like this cheap speaker, right? Does that make me not legit? Because it makes it seem like I'm now it's, am I right or wrong? And now it's not subjective, right? It makes it seem like I have the measurements, these suck, and what you're saying is actually wrong. Now it seems like I'm trying to fool my audience, even though what if I actually do like them?
Yeah. Well, so the example I gave earlier about how there's this common theme of like find a reviewer that has the same listening taste as you, and then you can trust them. Like I don't really subscribe to that, but what I do subscribe to is anybody who says that the Aris 3.5 is a really fantastic sounding speaker. They're deaf. Like, I don't know what else to say, and I'm not going to trust anything that they say from then on. It's just a bad speaker. But then the other factor is, like, a speaker on its own may be fine, right? Like, it may be fine, but when you compare it to another speaker, you're going to start noticing differences.
This has on Amazon.
That's Amazon.
On Amazon,
yeah,
right? The PreSonus Aris 3.5, 25,000 ratings, right? And the average rating is like 5 stars.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm surprised they've sold that many through Amazon, but okay. But if they're $100,
so I think it's partially yes, they're cheap, right? Yeah. They're just happy that they're so cheap and they work. You know,
they got sound. Yeah, that's good enough.
They have sound coming out of them.
That's what 5-star review. They get sound.
Their goal is different,
but they didn't have to give it 5 stars. They could have given it 4 stars or 3 stars. Like, it just worked and it was okay, but they kind of sound weird. But they didn't say that. A lot of the people.
Then you go back to, do you actually prefer that over another speaker that measures better, actually sounds better? Probably not. But you don't know because you're in a vacuum. Like, that's all you know is this one speaker and it makes sound, and that's good enough.
It says here, they have the AI summary.
Oh, yeah.
The AI summary. Customers are satisfied with the speaker's sound quality, value for money, and build quality. They find the speakers loud and clear, making them a great upgrade from cheaper speakers. The speakers perform well for desktop or TV use and can be used in kitchens or living rooms for general media and non-competitive gaming. The compact size is ideal for smaller spaces, yet they maintain their ability to play music. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you can't argue. That's objective data. 5 stars, 25,000 reviews. I'm wrong. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore.
Aaron's Audio Corner.
I love it. I don't know what I'm talking about. Well,
Aris 3.5. I mean, I think this is a good example, though. This is a specific.
Oh, there's one. We can find many more.
This one is extreme, though, right?
Because it's $100. If every speaker I reviewed was $100, you'd find 25,000 reviews.
Look at
on those two.
See that
big, huge mid-range suck out. Now, if you give somebody an EQ and boost that up, I guarantee you they're going to like the one that fills in that suck out because you're losing all the vocals. It's like at least 5, maybe 7 decibels. That's just like
this is funny, right? Good. So people like this, though, right? People have said that they like the speaker.
Yeah.
All right. So hold on. Let me show another.
What? You're just gonna make me quit. You're just gonna make me so sad.
No, I'm
just gonna stop.
I feel like
tell people to go to Amazon, man.
This is a good discussion, though. This is a healthy discussion.
I'm just gonna say, listen, whatever the people on Amazon say, that's what you need to listen to.
That's what they're gonna do anyway. More people are gonna listen to that 5-star rating. I think 25,000 reviews. That's a lot of reviews.
Oh yeah, that's a boatload.
The best computer speakers by our buddy Brent Butterworth. So this guy, Brent Butterworth, has done lots of measurements. He did a lot of the stuff for the CEA 2010. Is that the subwoofer one?
Yes.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah, I reached out to him when I first started doing that testing for advice.
So Brent knows what's up with measurements. And he told me that they did blind listening tests for these desktop speakers, right? Okay, so those are the top ones. These are the budget pick, upgrade pick, and then right here, PreSonus Aris 3.5.
Yeah, but it says for smaller desks. So is that the caveat that the other ones are just larger and it doesn't really make sense to use those? And does that really mean that that's the best sounding one out of all the others? Or does that just mean that it's good enough sounding, but it's also the smallest one?
It says this pair puts excellent sound and
controls.
Excellent sound.
Doesn't handle deep bass well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here doesn't have quite as much bass and sounds a little distorted. Did people not notice that the mid range was gone? Like, I'm sorry. That makes no sense to me.
Anyway, to me, that's funny, right? That's like an extreme example of that disconnect, right?
Well, I mean, if you think about the way majority of people listen to music, they're not even fucking paying attention.
Yeah, it's background.
Like it's just on. So would they notice that
it's a blind
with the way
test.
that I mean, if you listen to rap these days, like right, like who knows what the hell they're saying?
I'm putting everybody on blast today.
It depends. If it's $100 or how much ever it is, and it makes sound, it's got bass, chances are people are gonna love it.
Yeah, like, man, I listen to so much music just through my phone. You know, just like sitting around, sitting on the countertop in the kitchen, stuff like that. So I'm not listening for high fidelity.
You know what you need? You need what you need for your kitchen, Aaron. You need a Hi-Fi Rose 150B streamer. That's what you need.
That makes perfect sense. No, I mean I can get this Aris 3.5 because it makes a great kitchen speaker.
Hey, Shauna, did you ever have this speaker here?
Yeah,
Avantone Pro Mix Cube.
Yeah.
How many of them did you have?
15.
15 of them.
Well, I had to buy them in pairs, so 16. Yeah, I bought them. Yeah,
you bought them. They're not that cheap, right? What do you think about them? What do you think? You're a professional.
I thought they were great for the time being, but there was no highs.
They were great for the time being. So overall, like, what's your summary of the audio? We're gonna put you on blast right now.
The audio, it's not that, like, from a frequency standpoint, it's not that great.
Okay,
not that great. But I didn't need. All I needed was to pan the sounds around the room because I already did the mix on a 2-channel setup where there were, good enough. But
did you hate it though? Did you hate it?
I didn't hate it. I thought it was cool.
Okay, all right.
Until I got better speakers, and I'm like, oh my god, these are great. The newer speakers are great, not these.
There they are, bro.
Yeah, look at that.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, what is our threshold? What is our threshold really for inaccurate?
Rough.
That's you can't. That's like, you can't even make that up. Like,
yeah, you can't write this shit. Look at how crazy that is.
That's impossibly bad.
Hey, but look at the directivity, Joe.
Exactly. That's what I keep saying. That's what I'm telling everybody.
But that's an extreme. Like, there's no way that you put that next to a neutral speaker and you're going to think that one sounds good just because it has good directivity.
So it's made for in the studio just to work on mids. That's essentially it. That's it.
Okay.
So like they have a purpose. I was using them because they were the smallest speakers that would fit on microphone stands.
That doesn't. It doesn't look like a good idea to mix on this, like, ever.
Yeah.
Right. Based on the
design to do.
You know what I'm saying, though.
I think these ones are a lot better.
Oh yeah.
Joe showed me these because they have a little.
What are
those? A little hole at the bottom. This is the
monoprice ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good speakers.
The THX satellites.
Yeah.
And they're less expensive, same size, smaller probably than those.
Smaller, smaller, yeah.
So what I've been saying for a long time, or not that long, but recently I've been thinking, like, I think this is more indicative of what people are likely to say whether they like it or hate it. This green line down here.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it plays a part, but I would say that there's no way that you're going to do that speaker and find another one that's more neutral but still has pretty much the same directivity, and they're going to choose the Avant one over the other one. They're just like, it doesn't even make sense.
Back to your Aris, right?
Yeah.
Like, the directivity is pretty okay.
Yeah, but that doesn't even matter in the near field. So that's the other thing is, like, how are these people setting these things up, and like, are they putting it near a wall? Is it going to fill in that mid-range on its own? That might help some. They're sitting right on a desk. That might help some. I'm
just trying to figure out why people like it, right?
I still think that
what about this is something that somebody would like, right? If you look at this, then you have to think that all those people are crazy is the only thing, or you have to say, hey, they just like, it's just because it's cheap. But there are speakers that are more expensive, and now the excuse has to be, oh, it's because it's expensive. That's why they like it, because they already spent the money. So,
yeah, I think it really just falls down to what's their reference. If you don't have a good reference, then you got sound, and that's probably okay. Right? Like, when you're starting out, who cares how many radios or stations have you listened to like on the radio and thought that sounds fine, but you didn't really have anything to compare it to. Like you didn't have a good stereo to compare it to, so you didn't really care.
Anyway, that's all. I'm just trying to, different perspective, because if I look at any of these other measurements, there's really very few redeeming qualities about this Aris, right?
Right. Very few.
Like nothing I can say here is like, oh, that's I guess that's whitish. Okay. Like what can I say? Distortion, horrible.
Yeah, but it's a small speaker too, so I'm not really bothered about its distortion.
So I guess like how do you correlate it then? How do you correlate 25,000 people who like it just because it's cheap?
I think that factors in, but again, I think that those same people don't have a good reference. They're not ABXing these kind of things, so they don't know. You don't know what you don't know. I think if they did, they'd always choose the one that sounds more neutral. Which that study has already been shown, and I believe it because it just makes sense.
Okay. How about this though? What if you had a speaker that was linear here but had horrible directivity?
Is it a near field speaker?
And okay, we can do near field and the regular speaker.
Well, you're going to have different sounds then. If you're in the far field, you're going to get reflections, so it's going to be different. That directivity is going to matter. In the near field, who cares? It's pretty much the way that you point that speaker is what you're going to hear.
Okay.
Like you don't have reflections that you really have to worry about.
Okay.
Try it out sometime. Like there was a speaker that I just reviewed recently. I think it was the Dayton speaker. And initially I had them set up in the near field and I was like, okay, they're not that bad, but in the far field, I think there's a lower treble bump. And I was like, well, that definitely stands out more now than it did before. And when I looked at the data on axis, there's a dip, like a diffraction dip, and it's a pretty strong dip. But the estimated in room shows, I think, a bump there that fills in. And I'm like, this speaker sounds completely different in these two settings, and that's why. So, and that's the other thing about this stuff. Like, it all has to be looked at, and you have to figure out your use case and all that stuff. So, and just to be honest, from my perspective, as a reviewer, it's hard to cover all of that stuff. I mean, look how much we've been talking. We've been talking about this for a solid 40 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And we still haven't talked about everything there is to talk about.
No.
Just like even just this one speaker, like how do these people have it set up? What's the optimal position? How far are they sitting away? Is there a wall behind the speaker or not? How far off the wall does it need to be brought out? What's the radiation pattern to the back of the speaker? If I put it closer to a wall, is that going to fill in some of that? Be like a baffle step compensation? Like, and there's all these little things that keep me awake at night. So, but it's tough, like you try to do the best you can, but there's just no way to touch everything. Sounds creepy. So,
all right. I think we can leave it there.
No, I don't want to.
No. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to understand, right? What I try to do is understand both the objective stuff, but what are people enjoying about this? Why do they like it? Right? I don't want to think that they're crazy. I want to think that there's something that they actually are looking at, that they like. You're saying they don't have a reference, and I think that is true. If they were to sit and listen to it, let's just say an EQ'd version.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you just EQ in that mid range, it's a totally different speaker.
They're picking the EQ'd one every time. I know that.
Yeah.
Right. I'm confident. I'll put my money on that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the research says, right? That people will prefer one that's neutral on axis and has a smooth directivity.
Yeah.
Right? People will choose that speaker. And
it'd be different if it were
like more bass extension.
Yeah, it'd be different if it was like a 2 decibel trough in the mid range, but whatever that thing is, like 6 or so, like that's half as loud in the mid range.
Yeah. So, but I guess what I'm saying is that I don't know if there's a test that has been done, a test to see what happens if you get a bunch of speakers that are all neutral on axis, right? Whether with EQ or not. Right? Probably easier with EQ. EQ a bunch of speakers, they're all have neutral on axis response, but the directivity is all over the place. You'll have one with smooth, garbage, and then see what do people like. Will they still prefer?
Yeah, Tool did that.
He did that exactly.
Yeah. If that's not in his book, that's definitely on one of the videos where he's at the college, the music college or whatever it is, CMRTT or something like that. Yeah, he talks about that because they're showing a speaker that has like good neutral on axis, and I think he was saying that people still didn't necessarily like it, and then they showed the sound power response, and it was like big dip in the crossover region, and he said so like that's when we realized that this other stuff matters. So it's kind of it's very interesting stuff.
So which one is more important between those two though? Then you have
to who you ask.
Would somebody prefer a speaker that is neutral on axis but has a bad directivity, or a speaker that has smooth directivity but a bad direct on axis response? That's going to be that's an important question.
Yeah, so it's, and I wish I could sum it up that easily, but we both know that there's things in between there. Like, so the first question is, well, how do you define bad on axis? Like, what's bad? Is it just like one little peak here, or is it just doing a sawmill, right? Like, so that's the other thing. But just anecdotally, I understand what you're saying. And for me, I would say that I care more about smooth directivity. Like, it seems to be that I care more about smooth directivity, and I'm okay based on the data that I've seen and the speakers that I've heard. I'm okay with sacrificing some linearity on axis if that's what it takes to get smoother directivity or better in response. And the reason I say that is because I've also listened to enough of these speakers that have pretty smooth on-axis response, but the directivity is poor, so that crossover handover is really off. And they all almost sound the same way with respect to, like, they're very sibilant and they're very hot in the lower treble. And it stands out to me in a bad way.
Yeah. Well, for me, there's a selfish aspect to this also, because when something has smooth directivity, it's EQable.
Yeah,
and obviously I have a software that EQs speakers. And so if people are more focused on speakers that have good directivity, that means they're going to get more benefit from using Magic Beans than a speaker with poor directivity. So that's why I care, right?
No, I get it. But somebody else may not. You're right. Like, somebody else may not care about that same thing that you care about too.
But to me, I think that's very interesting that something that has a bad response that is EQable there might be a preference toward that speaker even without EQ, is what's kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
So I think that's I think it's worthy of some kind of test if it hasn't already been done, to try to figure out what are the thresholds, because it seems like the threshold for direct seems like for normal people, they're willing to accept some pretty bad direct response.
Yeah.
Worse than I could. Yeah. I've tested these Eris. They sounded as bad as you said.
Yeah, but we also have experience. We have a pretty, even like with just that speaker and not comparing it back to back, we have a pretty good idea of what we should be hearing from a neutral speaker, right? And I think a lot of it just comes down to the average consumer that's paying $100 for a pair of desktop speakers probably doesn't care, first of all. If they do, they probably just don't have a good reference for that because they're starting off a $100 speaker. Like, so if they're buying that, they probably don't have anything that's above that. Like, I guess, in other words, I would doubt that the guy who is buying that speaker also has a $5,000 set of speakers for his main listening speakers that are truly reference. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody just needed a pair of speakers and they didn't care.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of going off of that.
I think the most important, I think we'll all agree, the best thing you could do, even if you don't have great speakers, is to get a sub. Get a sub. You know what I mean? Spend your money on a nice sub. Find a way to integrate it nicely. Upgrade your speakers later. Yeah. But that'll be a nice upgrade for most people. I think for most people, if you have crappy speakers, at least get some good bass in your life and be happy.
I agree. Speaking of subs.
Yep.
You gonna grab that one?
Yep.
Okay.
Hi Finest. What's up, Hi Finest? Any appreciable, thank you for the super chat. First of all, thank you. Any appreciable difference between the SB17 and SB16 subs? Want to take the plunge, but it is incremental? Thanks, guys. Keep doing. All right. Is this the same HiFinest that posted on Instagram about Spatial Toolkit? Shauna, do you know?
I don't know.
Are you the same HiFinest? Because he said that he ran the Spatial Toolkit and Magic Beans, and he was liking the results. But if not,
I thought you were about to say he didn't like the results. I was like,
Yeah, I don't know
this guy's
where you
about to not have
wanted
to
that
answer.
it is. He
Because
said
somebody
it is.
did mention something. Oh, he said yes, sir.
Oh,
Okay.
cool. So to answer this, the tough thing is I don't know enough about either of these subs.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't have a clue.
I think if you're if you have the SB16 and you're trying to move to the SB17, I don't think you're going to notice a whole lot of difference. If you're coming from the SB 1000 or 2000 or 3000 and go to the 16 or 17, you're probably going to hear a difference. Other than that, if you're trying to get between the two, I'm sure the 16 is on sale right now. So you could get a better deal. It has a different look to it than the 17. It removes the screen. I think the grill is different. Something like that. You gotta double check me on that because I've seen them working, but I haven't seen them with the grill on. But I'd tell you this: I wouldn't be able to know the difference just by being in a room with one or the other. If you said which one do I have, and I listened to something in your room and didn't look at the thing, I probably wouldn't be able to guess which one is which.
Damn, already bought him. Gonna move the 16 to the basement.
Oh,
HiFinest is a baller.
yeah, no, I think he's got like a B&W setup or something like that.
Yeah,
like
look at. I got this right here.
What's that? It's all glowing.
HiFinest, right? That's the same HiFinest.
Yeah,
What do you say?
Yeah, it's the same picture, bro. Boom! Look at that.
Oh, so he's running Magic Beans.
Oh yeah. This is
Unlike-
the video.
unlike Aaron.
What? Oh, come on, man.
Yeah. So what do you say? I'll go. Finding my room curve for the basement sounds excellent. And then he says like there's this issue that he's having. I don't know that you have the latest version, but let me know in the comment here if you have the latest version, if it's still having that issue. Because I think that's an issue we resolved a while back. But anyway, let me get this off screen.
Can you get Magic Beans to work with a sound bar?
Your soundbar probably does it have any EQ?
No.
Oh, then
It's got a bass boost.
It's got bass boost. It's got
I haven't
extra
even hooked
bass.
that thing up yet.
Extra bass.
HiFinest is still running the beta. Man, we updated like I
Dang.
don't know, maybe 20 times.
Come on, man. You got to get with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, HiFinest has some nice stuff.
Yeah.
You want to see? Look at it. I hope you don't mind. I mean, your thing is public, isn't it? Look at this.
Yeah. Look at that.
Woo!
Dang.
Look at that. Baller.
Dang. Look at that. Man, he got two different setups.
I know.
Yeah. He's got the basement one, the living room one.
Look at that pool. Look at that view. That's got to be AI. There's no way that's real.
Nice stuff.
Where's
Very
his
cool.
house? Let's see if we can figure this out. I'm going to go visit. I'm going to swim. I swim naked, by the way.
Private follow HiFinest343 on Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, very cool. What else we got? We have any more start comments?
We got plenty.
Uh-oh.
CSO asks, are you interested in discussing my video about the weird Atmos setting? Can you elaborate in the comments, please? FOMO is here. He said, controversial topic. There will only be 3 legit TV brands in 3 years. Oh. Wonder which ones that would be.
Vizio.
I haven't heard much from Vizio.
Hisense.
Hisense, TCL. Which one? LG? Samsung. Samsung is still number 1. TCL actually is number 2.
Is it?
In market share, yeah. So
Dang.
that's pretty impressive.
You're real.
But
you're real.
You
And the
know,
whole top diamond and the bottom rose gold.
I like this one. In simple terms, what would you guys say that we are striving for with DSP or equalization?
All right.
I know what I would say very simply. Just use the DSP for the most part above the transition region, right? So let's just say 500 hertz, just to be simple, to fix your speaker, right? Because we're showing how like a speaker with great directivity is EQable, and if it doesn't have a neutral response, well, you might as well make it neutral, because you can. If it has bad directivity, then I guess you can kind of make the direct response better.
I think this is a very, very broad question with a broad answer. I think your answer is a little too detailed. What are we striving for?
Oh,
for it to sound awesome.
Like, I would say we're striving for balance. We want to have a balanced system, and with DSP and or equalization, you can do that.
Yeah, well, I thought it kept it simple. Make your speaker.
I don't know about that, man.
Make your speaker sound better. Make your speaker itself sound better.
Make
your
gooder.
speaker more natural sounding, right?
More good.
More natural to its what it wants to do, I think. Right? But you can't fight the physics of like what it can and cannot do. You can't fight if it has poor directivity. And then in the lower frequencies to fix whatever issues you have in bass. If you can, right? If there's a peak, maybe remove that boominess. And so, long story, to make your sound better.
Yeah, I'd agree with
That's it. Man, I could talk about DSP all day. What else? Let's answer some more.
Let's see here. Open baffle, omnidirectional speakers like Magnapan, etc. Hard to measure accurately, and or thoughts on these types.
Oh, that's an Aaron question.
Yeah, they're not hard to measure. There's really no difference in how you measure those versus how you measure anything else.
Sure.
Okay.
Easy enough.
Yeah. Okay. One second. Back to that question for a second.
Okay.
If you were to measure an MBL speaker, I've said it before.
MBL speaker. Yeah, the omnidirectional one.
All right. Let's say they use DSP and the on axis wherever that is, right? Is flat. Right? But what if everywhere you sound is also flat around it?
Yeah, because if it's true omnidirectional.
Yeah.
Yeah, then
so
what's
flat all around, right? So now your
response is flat. Does that sound good?
Straight. But
possibly.
But we've said that flat is going to sound too bright, right? Does that only apply to normal speakers?
Monopole speakers, yeah, for sure. Dipole speakers, think about it, but all of them are going to have a bass bump just because of the room itself, right? You're going to get boundary loading from the bass.
I'm with you on that. With you on that, yes.
Yeah, but as far as the high frequency goes, I don't know. I honestly don't know what would be preferred in that case.
I'm just wondering if it would, for some reason, because it's an omnidirectional speaker, even if it was a flat in-room response, would it for some reason sound okay for some reason?
Yeah.
I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I have some experience with some things that are close to it, but I've not experienced a truly omnidirectional speaker that is of, like I don't want to say hi-fi variety, but it's not an Apple box or it's not an Amazon Echo little thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just, outside of that, I really just don't know.
So what has your experience been with like, what do you say? Open baffle and Magnapans.
So the open baffle ones are different because they're still forward radiating. They're open on the backside, but they still beam, right? Like, so the difference between an open baffle versus a an omnidirectional speaker is the open baffle still radiates more force, especially because it has a baffle. I was going somewhere with this, but I got thrown off because I was looking.
Well, there's the cancellations at the sides.
Right. I'm thinking more in terms of the high frequency roll off. You're still going to have that because that tweeter, even if it's open to the back, most of them are chambered. So the rear radiating sound waves are not actually going out to the rear. That's why Linkwitz's design has two tweeters, one forward and one rear facing. So to give you that true dipole type effect, but that's still not quite omnidirectional either. So something like the MBL, there probably are other speakers that are true omnidirectional, but the MBL is the first one that comes to mind. At least that's how they market it. Now I haven't heard it, so I don't even know if that's true or not. And then something like the Beolab 90, I think you can set that up to be omnidirectional, or you can contour the radiation pattern to be narrow or wide. Because I believe, what's his name? There's a term for it. Soundmeister. Is that right?
Is that you're talking about?
Tonmeister.
Tone winner.
No, that's not it. Oh God. Tonmeister. It's the dude who basically like says, this is how this thing should sound. It's supposed to like the golden ears of the company or the hobby. What's his name? George? Is it George? Not George Martin. That's somebody else. Jeff Martin, I think is his name for B&O. Anyway, he sends out emails. If you're subscribed to his newsletter, he sends out emails, and they're very technically in depth. Like the majority of the stuff that I read from him, I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But one of them, they covered the directivity of the Beolab, and he actually provided like polar plots with it and said, this is what it looks like when you have it set to narrow mode or wide mode or omnidirectional mode. It was pretty interesting. So I say that to say, I believe the Beolab 90 is also a true omnidirectional capable speaker, but it can also be tweaked. And that's why I'd like to hear that one, because I would like to hear it in the different modes. Like, what's it sound like when it's omni? What's it sound like when I start closing it in and then make it basically just shoot a beam out the front? That's a really neat speaker.
I'm trying to look at this. There's one measurement of an MBL speaker.
Is it like an actual worthwhile to look at measurement?
It's from Stereophile.
Okay, they do listening window, but I'm more interested in like, is it truly omnidirectional? Like, is it? I think it is. I think they're supposed to be truly omnidirectional.
This one,
I don't know.
This one that they reviewed is the one where the top part is. It's not like the whole part on the bottom is omnidirectional. It's the top.
It's like their bookshelf version. Something crazy. I mean, shoot them an email and see. I doubt they give me one, but
that would be awesome.
Yeah,
it's this one. They reviewed this one, right?
Yeah, the thing is, dude, that looks like Darth Vader.
This thing looks cool though.
And I don't think that's not omnidirectional because you got the woofers on the side, right? Or is that the enclosure? Okay, so the bottom part's the enclosure, I'm guessing.
What did they say? Taking care of business above 650 hertz is MBL's exclusive 360-degree dispersion of middle and high frequencies. 650 and up.
Okay.
Those things look silly.
They look silly. I think they look cool.
Wild, man.
They look like little people.
I like it. It
looks like
cool.
Making me think of like Oompa Loompa or something.
Yeah, or like it's total Stormtrooper.
So like, I just thought of Darth Vader as soon as I saw it.
What am I looking at here?
Looking for measurements.
Oh, these are normalized. 0, only up to 15 degrees. Oh, there. What are these? 0, 30.
Yeah, that's Omni.
Okay.
Because look at all of those. They're all the same. So basically, that's saying that it measures all around, well, however far out it goes, at least, the same. Whoa.
What?
That CSD plot. That's yeah, I don't know. CSD plots are a weird thing for me.
So here's the thing though, like above what they said 650 to 6.
That doesn't look too bad, honestly. I mean, it looks, I expected worse.
It's flattish though, right?
Yeah. Well, so is that the window, or is that his listening window one, or is that just the quasi-anechoic on-axis measurement? Yeah, anechoic response. Okay. So, and then the bass boost is not real, by the way. That it would not look like that with a true anechoic measurement. That bass boost is a function of how he measured it, which he measures in the near field. And when you put the mic right up to the driver, you essentially have you don't have baffle steps. So essentially you have an infinite baffle. So what manufacturers of speakers do, or designers of speakers do, is when you get away from the speaker, the sound that radiates to the speaker also wraps around. So you lose SPL due to the baffle itself not being infinite, right? So that's where we get the term infinite baffle. That means that the wall fully loads that low frequency. But when you have a real baffle, like a speaker baffle, you don't have all that loading anymore. So long story short, that's why the graph that you see is so boosted on the bass. That's not real. It's real via the way that he's measured it, but that's not what you would get from a real anechoic measurement.
So I find this fascinating though, because the top end where it's omnidirectional looks like they're trying to go for a flattish response.
And that makes sense to me. I'm a little bit concerned when you're paying that much money for a speaker that it drops so quickly. The high frequency though.
Over here, well, they can't hear that. If you can afford an MBL
16, I mean, it just falls like a rock.
If you can afford MBL,
yeah, right. You probably can't hear that anyway. Yeah, I hear you.
You're probably old.
That's a good point.
So
I really don't know that it would matter for most music, but that's just kind of surprising that. Yeah.
So that in-room response is going to be flat. If they're all similar like this, like it's showing, that estimated in-room response is going to be flat. They could have made this have a downward slope if you can afford this, but they chose not to. Right. So,
well, also, and that's not anything against them, but we can't give them too much credit without understanding. Like we're assuming that they chose not to because it sounded better, but you may hear it and you may still think it's bright. We don't know that yet, right?
I don't know, man. People dance in their videos, so
I dance in my videos.
I think that's all their videos is like somebody dancing in it.
I mean, I dance in my own videos. I'm gonna shoot them an email, and I
don't want to watch those videos at all.
Dude, I would totally watch that one. I want to see.
Y'all missed my old one where I dressed up in a Superman PJs, a Superman onesie.
I saw you in a wig or two. Once.
Yeah, I did that, but I had a Superman onesie in one of them a long time ago.
That was I didn't need to watch any more of that.
Well,
Jack Lawson said he's got a Denon 4800 with a Rendell 1961, and he says all bought because of you guys. Yeah.
Oh man.
Wow.
I was just doing it for entertainment. I didn't think you're gonna listen to me.
Go full circle.
Why would you do that?
CISO says thoughts on GR Research calling most of the speakers bad and keep selling kits for everything. And it's not cheap either.
Thoughts of GR calling most of the speakers bad and keep. That's his hustle, right?
Yeah, I mean
that's what he does.
And the thing about Danny is there's no doubt at all that he's selling you a product, right? There's no doubt. Like we all know that he's got a product and he's selling it. Hey, I got this speaker in, I improved it the way that I think it needs to be improved. And here are the results from that. And if you're interested in buying it, here's the link. Boom, done. That's pretty transparent. I may not agree with everything he's done, but that's beside the point. He's transparent in what he's doing.
What do you think of Joe trying to tell people to get like speakers with good directivity that are going to really work well with his Magic Beans software? I mean,
you say that, right?
I mean, that's kind of the same thing, right? I'm trying to tell people to get speakers that are going to work well with EQ.
Your software.
That's beneficial to me.
Yeah,
because they're going to get more out of the software.
Yeah,
right.
I'm only saying that in defense of Danny, and I don't know.
I'm saying as well. Me too.
Yeah, I don't care. Like people kind of crap on him a lot, but I'm like, it's not like, all right. So the cables and all that stuff, like, yeah, dude, we're totally different animals when it comes to that. But he's selling a product. There's no doubt that he's selling a product. He gives you a link to that product, and there it is. Like you choose if you want to buy it or not. And you know what he does? He provides measurements at least. Like, there's like a handful of manufacturers that do that.
You know what I bet he loves? I bet he loves it when the speaker is like pretty well designed, like good drivers, but like they just messed up on the crossover. I bet he's like,
but there's so many speakers that are like that too, Like,
there you go. That's why he's got a business.
They use that crossover point. They should have used a different crossover point.
He's like, these morons.
He's just like, He loved it when that clip RP 600M came out. He's like, This
Oh,
is pretty
yeah.
good. They could have just. Why didn't
That one had really good directivity, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just the dip in the crossover region. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
I think the
all.
other thing that for me, I'm just like, why bother? But some of the ones that people will send in, that, you know, maybe cost a couple $100. Like I remember somebody sent in one of those Sony bookshelf ones that are like $200 a pair at
Yeah.
most, and sometimes they're $100 or $150 a pair. And then the crossover kit upgrade, I don't know how much it is exactly, but it was like at least a couple $100 or maybe
Yeah.
300, something like that. And I'm just thinking, man, just get a better speaker. Like that's already not a good speaker. And that's cool that you want to upgrade it. And if you want to do that for fun, that's fine. But if somebody were asking me what to do, I'd say just get a better speaker to start with.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. And I don't think you need tube connectors on like $100.
Yeah, the tube connectors are I don't know about that either, but
that's how
I would actually like to review some of his speakers. He's got a couple that I'm like, those look pretty cool, but
how he feels when he sees a speaker that's well designed but with a bad crossover is how I feel when I see a speaker that's like good directivity, but just for some reason they didn't like, they made the treble too high, like these Polks that people, I'm like,
oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All they need to do is reduce that treble.
Yeah.
They have a pretty good speaker on their hands. Anyway.
Billy P says, from my understanding, people are sending the speakers to him for him to fix. He's not grabbing the speakers and saying
100%.
that they need to be fixed. Oh, okay.
I don't think that's what I was saying, but just to make sure that, yeah, I was not saying that. People send him speakers because they want to see if they can be upgraded or improved upon. And then that's what he does. And then he creates a kit for it and posts it on his site.
Yeah.
That simple. And sometimes I wonder, like, when these people send these speakers in, if they don't like them that much, you know, sometimes maybe people send them in because they're just curious. But then sometimes I assume, or maybe it's been said that somebody didn't like the speaker. And I'm thinking, why bother then? Why not just get rid of it? You know, unless there's some kind of emotional attachment to this old vintage type speaker or something like that.
You know why car audio guys are smarter than most audiophile people? I'll tell you, like most, like they're technically more smart when it comes to audio stuff. Huh?
Because they all run DSP and active.
Yes, but also,
I mean,
right now I'm setting up some subwoofers, right?
Yeah.
I need to know the TS parameters. I need to understand what those actually mean.
Yeah.
I need to know what type of enclosure that's supposed to go into.
I don't know what that means.
If
What
you're
does that mean?
audiophile, you just need to buy speakers, right? Somebody else has to figure that stuff out.
Right.
Like you don't have to know anything about that stuff. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think that's so crazy. Like I'm looking and I need to see how much power do I need. Am I going to hit my excursion limits when I try to extend the bass out?
Yeah.
You know, I can calculate it. I can look over here and see and design it. And then after I do that, if I do it right, now I got to go in the car and actually figure out the crossover points.
Yeah.
What are the slopes, right? Phase alignment.
And every car is different. There is I can tune 100 different cars and probably come up with 100 different methods of tuning or settings for that tune to achieve a good sound. You know, like one car I had a 12 dB octave slope on the subwoofer for the, my brain just went blank for the, was that right? I'm thinking about it. Yeah, for the low pass. And then another car that I got different subs. And I used 48 dB per octave slopes, like super steep slopes, because there was an issue with the positioning of the subwoofer relative to the mid bass and the driver's seat. So you have to play around. You have to know all of that stuff.
Have you ever used a different type of crossover filter for your left versus your right?
Yeah.
Like a different.
And sometimes you do that just because
that's crazy, right?
Yeah, sometimes you do that just because it's easier to do that and makes more sense than it does to go to the EQ and just start dragging down a bunch of different frequencies.
Like, oh, you mean like in the old school stereos that we do at home?
Oh yeah, like the smiley face.
Make a little smiley face or a V or some shit.
My friend Eric, I went over to his house. He's got like a vintage, I think a Pioneer, and then he's got some HPM 15s that he bought used from somebody who reconed them. And I walked in his living room where he's got the speaker set up. And all I see are all the sliders, and they're just in a big smiley face. And I was like, dude, it's like, we got to fix this. So,
gosh, I just want to show you one more thing. Last thing, thought this was so crazy. window, REW. So check this out. So I was checking out a tune and I was using a let me get this off the screen too. Hold on a second.
Getting hungry again. Damn.
So I put on binaural microphones, the Sonic Presence ones, right? And this is not for measurement purposes necessarily. I'm not trying to look for accuracy, anything like that. I just wanted to see what happens if I listen to all the speakers playing, right? So front speakers, subs, everything playing. And this is at my left ear, right? While I'm at the driver's seat. So of course the window's here, right?
Yeah.
Exact same thing, but just what the right ear hears or what this side of the microphone hears. And this is what that one hears. What the? Why?
Yeah.
Like that's a big difference just from what this ear hears versus what that ear hears. So what are you supposed to do about that?
Yeah. Good luck.
You know what I mean? Like you put the mic in the middle, or like what can you do? So anyway, car audio is crazy. I love it. It's pretty cool.
Car audio, man, you learned so much trying to build a good car stereo system.
Man, my thing sounded pretty good.
Yeah, it sounded pretty good.
I'll find out about that.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask my peeps. I'm going to be like, hey, what did you really think of this stereo? Because that's what happens at these shows. People will be like, yeah, man, it sounds good. And then later on, you're messaging each other like, okay, what did you really think? Like, all right, well, let me tell you, the mid sounded flat, the high sounded blah, blah, blah. I had a friend, man, still a good friend of mine. I love him to death. He got out of my car one day after I spent like a week solid trying to retune it, make it sound really good for a show. He gets out of it. He goes, I said, what'd you think? Sounds like a stereo. So that's become like a running joke now. Since over the last 15 years, it's still, sounds like a stereo.
Sounds like a stereo. That's what you don't want to hear.
Yeah. Or if they get out and say, nice wheels, man. And then they just like, yeah, something's wrong.
Well, there was this guy at the show. Remember? Okay. I don't need to drop a name, but he checked out the system. I got him on video saying, yeah, I could be convinced with DSP, right? And he's like, yeah, kind of like, yeah, I'm liking what you guys are doing, this and that. And later on, he messages me. So I got him on video and I asked him numerous times, like, tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. I'm right here. Yeah. Tell me to my face, right? And then later on, he messaged me. He's like, it was your system I found unengaging. I'm like, why didn't you tell me to my face?
Yeah, that's weird.
Like you told me in a message later. I'm like, don't talk to me, bro. Like, if you can't tell me directly.
I know who you're talking about.
You could have totally told me directly to my face. I would have, okay, well, that's cool. But the fact that I asked him and he didn't want to say it, I'm like, come on, bro, just say it. It's not a big deal. I don't like that.
My first instinct about that, though, is to think that the dude probably didn't want to he probably didn't want to give you too many props. So he had to like do something to bring you back down. I'm serious, man, because people are weird like that. People just are so jealous of each other for no reason whatsoever. So I could easily see the two situations. One is he didn't really have the guts to tell you to your face, or two is like, yeah, I really don't want that guy thinking like his system's all that, because now, like, what am I going to do? Like, how does that affect my sales or how I'm viewed? You know what I'm saying?
Not everyone is confrontational. You know what, though, awesome. Is if he would have told me that directly, I would have said, oh, that's cool, man. I'm sorry you didn't like it. That's what would happen.
You were going to
but
no, what didn't you like? You didn't like this? Okay, cool. Let's go have lunch. Who cares? Right?
I care.
But what I don't like is, you see what I'm saying? Like, who cares if this person liked my system or not?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Why would I care? But the fact that somebody would say it here and then later on tell you something different, that's somebody I don't like.
Yeah, that's not cool.
I don't like that.
Man, I used to get people so mad at me. There was this one guy in particular who he didn't let go of that stuff for like a year. He would still message me like, well, why did you say this? Like, I judged his car at a local show, and I can't remember exactly what was wrong, but it seems to be that it was something like his right side tweeter was going in and out or something like that. And so whatever it was kind of like just a malfunction type issue, but none of the other judges caught it. I caught it when I guess it was my turn.
Yeah.
And so I scored him pretty bad on everything, like on tonality and imaging. Of course, imaging, is going to be affected if you don't have a right tweeter. but it also affects tonality. That's what it was. He was mad that I judged him so harshly on tonality when all the other judges gave him like really good scores. And I'm like, look, dude, tonally it was imbalanced. Like, we can separate focus and imaging. Certainly, if your right speaker isn't playing, then that's going to affect it. And if you're at home listening in mono, then one speaker can sound tonally okay, but your entire tune in a car is built off of both sides playing at the same time, you know, and they're going to be different from side to side. So they're going to have their own individual tune. And when they get together, then they sound good on their own, or as a compare or a composite. So anyway, he was not happy about that. And yeah, he talked about it for like a year after that.
Oh, wow.
So he wasn't a dick about it, but it just like, I know that it bothered him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just people are weird. People are weird about it. If you were to say, hey, you know, your system sounds like this. This is one way to improve it. All right, cool. Let me take that. Show me.
Yeah, you don't even have to do it either. You can just be like, oh yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Even if you don't agree, you can just like, I'll keep that in mind. I'll try that out.
You know, that's okay.
Yeah. I had a judge get out of my car at a show, and it's still a joke. Same thing. Good friend of mine. All these car audio guys, like, we're still friends to this day. Like, that's the one great thing about the audio community is most of the time you become friends with these guys and you're friends with them forever. Anyway, so he judges my car and he gets out. I'd worked my butt off trying to tune this thing, man. I thought it sounded pretty good. I knew some issues. And he says, man, your mid bass is quack. And I was like, what? Quack? And he's like, yeah, man, it just sounded like just. And I was like, what does that even mean? I was so distraught. So yeah, I still joke with him about it. I'm like, my mid bass, they're not quack anymore or something like that.
Was he correct or no?
Yeah, he was correct.
Of course, it was whack.
There was a strong resonance that I spent, I mean, probably the better part of a year on the right mid bass that I could not figure out for the life of me.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I took that freaking panel apart. It was kick panels.
Yeah.
I took that thing apart. I loaded it with lead shot. I did all sorts of stuff trying to sturdy it up. And then that was one of the learning things too. Like, I was just convinced that it was a panel resonance or some sort of resonance that was causing it. It was just the enclosure. It was inside of the enclosure, right? So there was a resonance inside the enclosure due to the shape. There was a standing wave inside of there. And I didn't know that until I bought one of those woofer testers. Back in the day, they were just woofer tester, right? And it was by a company called Smith & Larson. It was before Dayton even had one.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought one of the original woofer testers and did an impedance sweep. And I saw this little blip around like 220 or 250 hertz. And I was like, what the heck is that? And then I just rabbit hole, man, for like another 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. That's car audio.
So he was right.
Oh, yeah. He was right.
He was right.
Yeah,
dang.
He was right. That dude, man, we used to call him the human RTA.
Really?
Like, yeah, he could be
Why
like,
would he be going around going?
Yeah, right. He'd be like, it's a little bit something at 3K. And you're like, what? And you get in, you'd mess with it and be like, oh yeah, that sounds better now. All right. So that dude had golden ears.
Okay. Well, after this, I want to know who this person is.
David Hogan.
David Hogan. All right.
Yep. He's in Germany now. He moved off.
All right.
Any more?
Yeah. This guy's question. Essentially, he's saying that he's setting his Atmos speakers incorrectly to actually achieve a better experience, meaning he sits at the back wall and he can only do top, middle, and front heights.
Let me bring
setting them as top front and top rear gives me a better experience and better overall spread, since having top middle, everything that plays above or behind plays out of the top middle. If you set them up as top front and top rear, the front height will still play the front stuff. And when something is above, all four play. So I guess the issue was when he had top middle, that was taking over like the front height ones as well. So everything above and behind plays from one speaker. Set as heights or top front, it's pretty much the same, but the bottom line setting the top middle to either top right or rear height. Everyone was yelling at me for doing something completely wrong, but it is actually better.
Look at his eyes right here. His eyes look crazy right here.
Oh, what the heck? Oh, is this the video? I have not seen this video.
That's clickbait, bro.
Bro.
Those aren't your eyes.
But his mouth's not wide open, so it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. He's cool then. He's good. All right. So Reverend Slim, what does he say?
He's saying
Whatever he says is correct.
Probably.
With 5 side surrounds is between main surrounds. So if your rearmost heights are in front of you, a bit top middle can actually work better for the middle front stage. If they're close to you when the surrounds are top rear, will actually be good because you're placing the expectation at 0.75 times the room length.
Yeah, so if you don't have our toolkit already, you should get that. I think you probably do. If you do, join the Discord group, find Reverend Slim, and ask him all of your questions because I know all of it, but I don't retain it. You know what I mean? Like there's just too much. And
it's like going on to the next one. What's the Discord channel called? If you have the toolkit, it's a private Discord. The link is in there. If you have the toolkit.
Yeah. We can talk to us more in depth right there. We can figure stuff out. Where's Joe? Where's this one? Joe, the French Canadian. Hey, Joe, you mentioned you can get the in-room directivity of the speaker with Magic Beans. Does the process is detail? Yeah, so it's the pro version that does the export. You know, we call it in-room directivity because it's not early reflections, it's not sound power directivity. We kind of made our own thing where it kind of gives you an idea of what the directivity is, but it's above the transition region where we can give you some decent data. Below that, it gets it's wild, right? It doesn't make that much sense below that. So yeah, we have our own thing. It's part of the pro version. And so if you're interested, you can check that out. If you already have it, you can ask us in our Discord group for Magic Beans. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I think it's cool to be able to get an idea what the directivity of something is. Just generally. You know, it's not super precise, you know, but it's enough to tell you like, hey, your speaker is behind an AT screen, isn't it? Like, yeah, how do you know? Well, I can tell because it doesn't react like the other ones. Hey, your left speaker, is there something wrong? Yeah, it's behind the frame of their screen. That's a real one. Like, yeah, man, I can tell something weird's happening there. So it's stuff like that. We can tell that their speaker's close to a wall, something like that. You know? Like, hey, how come your right speaker is not, the directivity on the right speaker looks different than the left one? You know, so it's useful. It's useful because our EQ also takes directivity into account, which pretty much everything else does not, right? You know, most EQ does not look at directivity to say, should we EQ here or should we not? And so I think Magic Beans might be the only one that really does that. And if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. You know, I know Direct says that they're able to look at the direct and the reflected sounds through the impulse response, but I don't think you got to get in there and take a near field measurement.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we get going?
Sure.
Sure, we can do that, I guess. I mean, I don't want to leave y'all. Y'all are my best.
Oh, I don't want to wait for life to be over.
Well, hopefully those questions earlier about, you know, playing devil's advocate, I hope you didn't take it as like, oh
man, we can't be friends anymore.
I think I just want to try to bridge the gap. Like, instead of like, what is happening here?
Well,
what
that's
is
the
actually
problem.
happening?
That's the frustrating part for me is that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to like, my main thing is just like when you hear somebody saying that measurements don't matter at all, I think people should be cautious, right? Like, why are they saying this? You should be suspect because, you know, if you just can't do them, you don't like to do them, that's fine. But
you know,
throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's for me that's when things go a little bit too far.
I would always tell people like, look, I don't like this Samsung TV for this reason. And you know what? I met somebody. My brother wanted me to go to my cousin's birthday last Wednesday, right after the show last Wednesday. And one of the dudes knew me and he's like, I've got so many questions for you. why did you buy? Why did you buy a Samsung TV? Because I've been talking about how much I hate them, and I was just like, oh well, da 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 da, and it's like you can't just. You can have a bias, but you can't let the bias you can't force your bias on somebody else,
for sure,
right? Like that's like the thing, right? If you
I
don't like
agree.
measurements, you can say, hey, I'm not a measurement guy. You won't see me do measurements on this channel. There it is. Boom, done. Right? You don't have to say I don't like measurements because measurements are the devil, right? Like you can't say that.
What's one speaker other than the Aris? Other than what else did we talk about? Aris and the Aventone. What is a speaker, Aaron, that people kind of like seem to like, that got a lot of like good reviews, that actually don't measure well?
Oh, dude, what about the Yamaha NS10s?
Oh yeah.
Is that a speaker that people really like though, or is it just because like it's what people used for a long time? Like what's something that people like say, hey, I like the sound, but like measurements don't look great?
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen people say like, well, I like this speaker and the measurements look terrible. And I'm always like, show me the measurements then. Like, so I'll know, because then I can probably help you understand why you didn't like the speaker. And more than likely it's because the measurements that are available aren't enough. And it goes back to what we were talking about with just the on-axis response, and then you really need other things to look at too. So
any that stick out in your mind that are like other reviewers liked it, and then you got the measurements and the direct on axis was like not good?
The Triangle Borea BR03, that's one that I'm like, and it really wasn't terrible. Like that one was weird because the on axis response is within about maybe plus or minus 3 decibels. I mean, it's in that what most people consider a pretty reasonable window, but it's bouncing all over the place. Yeah,
this looks stinky. Yeah. He said it's stinky. The Bro 3 is stinky.
Yeah, that's my stinky. Yeah, I think I remember this one being a little bit. Yeah, see, I was just kind of like it bounces around. Oh, I was like, oh. Yeah. I've seen worse, right? Like, just I've seen worse for sure. But
I have an excuse for this one because I can't even say the directivity is good on that one. That's not even that.
Yeah, that one's not.
That's kind of weird. I think it's just they kind of look kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, and they're reasonably cheap. They're a budget-oriented speaker, so
they're French.
Are they?
They're from France.
So it's Focal.
Yeah, so you're practically getting Focal right there.
That's exactly.
Okay, I was gonna say, oh, maybe it has good directivity, but that didn't look that. That didn't look that good either. So I don't know. Maybe you know what? Maybe it had decent bass extension.
Maybe,
because a lot of times you just say, oh, it's cheap, has bass, I'm happy.
Right. Yes. A lot of times people just the bass is all you really need, and they're happy with everything else, or that booms.
Yes, that's frequency response 46 hertz on your thing. Let's see. Oh, it's bumped up in the bass. Oh, that's what it is. Figured it out. See, we can figure everything out. You see how measurements, see what you can do?
Yeah.
On axis,
don't be scared.
Not great. You know, directivity, not horrible.
Yeah, it's not horrible.
Not great. Right. But we got that bass boost. Got a little bit of bass boost right here, right?
Yeah. I also see a little bit of a mid-range boost and the treble boost as well.
Yeah. So estimate is not great either.
Yeah. Yeah. That's going to sound hot.
Did you used to do that one where you kind of, oh yeah, you did here. So
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, you know, it's kind of, it's within a good tolerance range, but it's just bouncing around through there. And I think that's what really messed it up for me.
See, what I think it is for this speaker, that it's not horrible here, but F10 42 hertz is pretty good for a little bookshelf speaker.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, it's not terrible.
What's the sensitivity? Is that 87?
87?
Yeah. So I mean, that's a good middle ground for extension and sensitivity.
So I think that's why it's important, right? When you have these measurements, you can say, hey, I think what's actually happening is you get an inexpensive speaker, you get some pretty decent bass response. It's not very accurate. Directivity is not great. Not horrible in either case either, though.
Right.
Like none of these things are horrible.
Yeah.
They're just not great.
It's mid, as the kids say.
It's mid. Anyway, let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you want to continue the fun with us, go to crew.dailyhifi.com, become a member, and then you'll do this with us after the show in what we call the after show. It's kind of like Peach Pit After Dark, only without Ian Ziering.
90210? Wow.
Well, I'm glad you caught that one, Aaron.
Yeah.
I knew you would.
I like that.
If you want to help out the channel, go ahead and pick up some merch, some Daily Hi-Fi merch. Go to shop.dailyhifi.com. And if you want to listen to the podcast instead of watch it, go to anchor.fm/dailyhifi on all your podcast platforms, whatever your favorite ones are. On behalf of myself, Mr. Aaron, Mr. Joe, we will see you all next week.